This is what Coord looks like when it's alive. People and agents, jobs in various states, all in one board. So how do we get here? Let's walk through the 3 job types and start with the one you're already familiar with. That would be a user job. For this, I'm going to switch to a new workspace and I'm going to create a new job. Every job starts as a user job. These are jobs you assign to people on your team. For this demo, we're going to be working on building a roguelike game. So the first thing we want to do is explore a design palette. So I'll enter a title for this job, and then I'll come down and enter a description. Now I also have the option to attach files directly to the job. I'm going to drag and drop an image that I have directly into the Create Job panel as reference for the user. Now moving over to the Team tab, we can add additional team members to this project. Team members can be added as leads, editors, or viewers on the job. For now, we'll skip the Agent tab and move directly over to our options. Here, we can set a priority for our job, as well as choose domains. Domains are ways to apply tags to our jobs. Now let's go ahead and create the job. You'll see the job appears on our board in the stage column. With user jobs, they can be freely moved between the stages at any point in time. I can move it to review. If we receive feedback, it can be moved back to in progress. Clicking on the job brings up the job details. I can see the original description for the job, as well as any attachments and other information related to when the job was created. On our Notes tab, I can add individual notes to our job. I can mention users and direct additional notes to that user. The same way we attached files to the job creation, we can do that directly on Notes. In this case, I'm going to drag over another image and attach it directly to the note itself and choose Add Note. Clicking on our Team tab, we can see the team members that we added when we created our job, and we can additionally manage the team members directly from this view. Now on User Jobs, if we click on our Files tab, we can actually create folders and add files directly to the job itself. For example, I'll create a folder and we'll call this reference. And then I can drag additional files directly into that reference folder. Now, when adding files to the job, if we update a file, that will be reflected directly in the files list by a version indicator. Now let's look at creating a job for an agent. Since we started building a roguelike game, we're going to ask the agent to research all of the roguelike games and create a spreadsheet of all of the features they share in common. Again, we'll enter a title and a description. I can go over and add team members, but here we'll move over to the Agent tab, and I'm going to choose Claude Code. We have the option to use Claude Code, Codex, or Gemini through our runner. For the agent, we can also choose Plan Mode or Edit Mode. In this case, I'll choose Edit Mode, and instead of requiring permissions, I'll just let it complete the task on its own. Next, we can choose our runner. The runner is our local application that picks up jobs from Coord and launches the agent to execute the request locally on the machine that the runner is installed on. Every user can bring their own runner to a workspace, or runners can be shared amongst multiple people. In this case, I can choose from my runner, team runners, any runner, or individual runners on our system. In this case, I'm just going to choose my runners. We also have the option to choose a repository. I'm not going to choose a repository this time because we're just having the agent do some research for us on the job. This is what we call a local job. Local jobs are assigned to an agent that works on your machine wherever the runner is installed. The agent can work with existing files or create new ones, and anything it produces is available to you through the Files tab on the job. This is great for tasks that don't need a repo, things like research, content generation, or local automation. Next, we'll go into our options, and we'll choose Gameplay. Now we'll create our job, and we'll mark it as ready. Marking it as ready lets Coord know that this job is ready to be sent to a runner. You'll see the jobs moved over to In Progress, and the agent is starting to work on the job. Once the agent either has a question or has a job ready for review, the job will move over to the review state. Now we skipped ahead till our research was finished, and clicking on the job, we can see the agent's notes and what it found, and by clicking on Files, we can actually see and view the CSV that it created that we asked for, and we can go ahead and download that file. At this state, I'm going to go ahead and mark this job as completed. Next, let's build out the top 3 features that the agent found and have Coord work directly on the GitHub repo. So in this case, I'll create a job again, and I'll give the job a title, and we'll give the agent a description of the job. So we're telling the agent to use the attached spreadsheet of roguelike features and implement the top 3 most popular that are shared amongst all of the games. So in this case, we're going to take the CSV that the last job created. We're going to drop that as an attachment for the agent. We'll go over to our agent, we'll select Claude code again, and we'll give it permission to run directly. Now in this case, we are going to select our repository as well as our branch. We can choose our options, add domain tags, and create the job. We'll mark it as ready and let the agent pick this up. Now, while this job is running, let's take a look at our backlog. In our backlog, we can see jobs of all states, from idea through completion. Jobs created directly on the backlog do not appear on the board until they are staged. So in this example, I have 4 separate jobs that I've already prepared, and I want them to execute, but I want them to execute after the one we just launched. So in this case, I'm going to open up our dependencies, and I'm going to add an upstream job, and I'm going to mark the implement the top 3 features job as an upstream dependency. I'm going to do this for each of our jobs. And now, if I look at our top 3 features job, you'll see that each of our backlog jobs is now linked to our top 3 features job. At this point, I'm ready to stage them. So I can click the button and stage them individually. I can also multi-select our jobs and choose Stage Selected. Now, when I come back over to the board, all of our jobs are available here. Our Implement Top 3 Features job does look like it's ready for review, but let's go ahead and stage each of these so these jobs are ready. You'll see that they're now all pending this job being completed. So let's see what it says. We can actually see the output of our agent, and we can go over to our Files tab and see the diffs and all of the changes that were made. So we can review every file and determine if it all looks good before we go ahead and commit. Now, at the beginning of every repository job, the agent creates a work tree and a draft PR. This allows the agent to work on multiple jobs simultaneously without stepping on each other. In this case, I can see that our review checks have passed, and I'm going to mark the PR ready for review and go ahead and merge it. I'll approve this, and the job will be merged. Now that that job is complete, we'll see our other 4 jobs automatically pick up and get started. Now, 3 of these jobs I set to auto-approve. One of them, I did require plan mode, and I did ask for approval. This way, we'll be able to take a look at how you would interact with an agent throughout the course of a job. While those jobs are running, this is a good time to take a look at our other active views. So in addition to our board view, we have our activity view, and I treat this like a triage center. I can click through, step into each job, see what's actually happening on each agent. This agent has its plan ready. We can review the plan. If we want to make changes, we can say no, keep planning, and we can reject, or I can go ahead and say start implementing. In this case, I'll just say start implementing. But at any point in time, we can step into each job and see what each agent is doing and working on. Now we also have our Explorer view. Our Explorer view gives us an idea of volume of work, and we can organize this around individual domains, or we can center this around the workspace or even individual users. We can go through, and again, we can work directly on jobs in this view, and we can select our jobs as needed. Let's go ahead and move back to our board view, and we'll see our updates as they come in. Let's look at the progress of our sound effects job. On each job, you can see the total runtime of each agent. The total job time is tracked independently of the agent's execution time. Now, because I did request permissions on this job, you'll see that it highlighted. It didn't move to review because it's not ready for feedback yet, but it does need permission to continue, so it highlighted itself. Now, I'll go ahead and click Approve All and let it go on. Now, the other jobs are on autopilot until they have something to review. Now, skipping ahead, we can see our visual effects job is ready for review, and our sound effects job is still in progress and does want some further permissions. But clicking on our visual effects job, we can see the summary. We can scroll up and see all of the changes that were made, and we can step in and review any individual edit at any point in time. And again, we can go in and see the changes that were directly made by reviewing our diffs prior to committing. Now, if I choose Approve, our checks have passed once again, and I will choose Approve. The job moves to done. The PR has been committed and merged in GitHub, and the rest of the jobs are continuing to work as needed. Now, typically on a project, when each job moves to review, I'll check out the branch and review the changes locally. That's just my process, as I like to be involved and make sure that the changes are implemented well, there is good taste across all of the decisions that were made, and that if there's feedback, I can give the agent feedback, and it can go run another round and come back. Now, when it does another round, it will actually push those changes to that draft PR. I can pull the changes to the branch and re-review those prior to approving. Now, as we briefly looked at before, Coord supports a staged workflow for jobs. We looked at the backlog, but jobs can start as an ID on a canvas. From there, they can get promoted to the backlog when it takes shape, and then get staged to the board for execution, as we just did. But it's not a forced pipeline. You can create a job at any stage, drop it straight into the board if it's ready to go, or start it in the backlog if it needs a bit more context first. The flow is there when you want it, and it's out of the way when you don't. And that is an overview of jobs in Coord. Agent jobs and user jobs working together on the same board, interdependent, completely visible to your entire team.